There was a devastating poll that came out the other day that we talked about on the show. I think it was yesterday. It was a poll about old people in politics, basically. And 77% of the country says basically Biden's too old to be reelected and be effective. 77%. That even includes 69% of Democrats. No matter how you spin it, no matter how you slice it or dice it, that's a devastating poll. It's basically like, we really, really, really don't want you. Now, maybe when push comes to shove, if Biden is up against Trump, who has 91 criminal charges against him, all these people will be like, okay, whatever, I'll vote for the guy. But it's still, like, it's damning. That's a damning poll, and it shows you the terrible state of our democracy at the moment. Well, guess what? Even the people on MSNBC were like, I don't know, man, that doesn't look too good. Which, you know, if they're saying that around anything with Biden, that's, you know, it's kind of a big deal. So you're going to see both things actually here. You're going to see on the one hand, they're going to admit like, that doesn't look good for Biden. But on the other hand, you got some people who, bro, it's not even, whatever, bro. It's like not even anything, bro. All right, so let's watch and then we'll talk about it.
President Biden, showing his age is a significant concern for voters ahead of the 2024 election, including among Democrats, by the way. A new AP NORC poll finds more than three quarters of Americans think Biden, who is 80, is too old to serve another term, 77% of them. Donald Trump is just 3 years younger than Biden, but only 51% of Americans say he is too old to be effective in a second term.
Now, by the way, this is like hair dye for the win and face tanner for the win or orange foundation, whatever Trump's got on his face. Like that, like I honestly think that psychologically tricks people into thinking he's younger and more vibrant than he is. And then also the fact he's probably high as balls on that British version of Sudafed that's a massive upper that they found stashed at Trump Tower in his drawers. I think he's probably high on that 24/7, which means he's like flying on an upper, which is why it looks like he's got so much energy. So I think all of that stuff paints this picture as like, bro, he's not even that old. Yes, he is. He's a deranged old grandpa ranting on a daily basis and basically yelling at clouds.
89% of Republicans say Biden is too old. 69% of Democrats say he's too old. And 74% of independents say the same. In contrast, only 28% of Republicans say Trump is too old versus 71% of Democrats and about half of all independents. So, Eugene Robinson, this is something that the White House, the Biden campaign cannot avoid. It is a reality. It might be uncomfortable for some people to talk about, but when you have private dinner parties, when you go out at the ice cream place in the summer, people do, even Democrats who like Joe Biden and plan to support him, they do have concerns about his age.
If only he had, an opponent who was younger and was better on policy and more charismatic. Oh, that's right. He does. Her name's Marianne Williamson, and she's running in a primary against Joe Biden, and they're literally pretending like she doesn't exist. I mean, at this point, it's par for the course, but it is journalistic malpractice. For example, I don't like RFK. I think he's a total crank, and he sucks up to the right wing endlessly. Not a fan. But should he be covered? Yes. Should there be a debate? Absolutely. You should get Joe Biden, Marianne Williamson, and RFK on the stage, sit back and relax and have some popcorn as you watch Marianne Williamson absolutely carve them into pieces. But again, they're going to pretend like she doesn't exist, just like Biden's pretending like she doesn't exist. And they're talking about, oh man, this is actually a really big problem for Biden. The entire country says he's too old and he's not with it and he can't do a second term and this is bad and this is wrong. And geez, I mean, if only we had other options or something. You do. But she's not a corporate Democrat. So corporate media is acting like she's not even in the conversation. We see how this game is played.
It's just a fact that they have to deal with. I mean, the fact also is that those Democrats, I think, are highly unlikely to say, okay, he's too old, I'll vote for Donald Trump. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, but nobody said that they were going to vote for Trump. They might, like, stay home or vote for a third-party candidate or not be inspired enough to come out. Like, these are the things that people fear. It's not that, oh, these Biden voters are now going to abandon him for Trump because he's younger. Nobody made that argument. Nobody thinks that.
I think it's very likely that the main question will be Donald Trump. It's a stark binary choice. Do you want 4 more years of Biden, or you want 4 more years of Trump? And so I think the Biden camp is fairly confident on that score that's how it's going to come down. But it is a problem, and it is ironic. He's only 3 years older than Donald Trump. He is visibly in better physical shape than Donald Trump.
Better physical shape, as in Biden's not a fat ass and Trump is. But he said physical for a reason, because mentally, look, I agree way more with Joe Biden's ideology than I do with Trump's ideology. And I think Biden's carcass would be better than living Trump. But mentally, Trump's gone in a different way mentally. They're both gone mentally. It's totally different ways.
Despite those figures from the Georgia booking that have Trump at 6'3", 215. I'm sorry, that is a total fantasy.
Look, notice something. They're kind of dodging it at the end here. The obvious takeaway, which is you really are rolling the dice with the country by insisting it has to be Biden versus Trump. I think Marianne Williamson would be a way better candidate against Trump. I think, honestly, a generic Democrat would be a better candidate against Trump. But not Kamala Harris. I still think Biden is a better candidate than Kamala Harris. But, it's scary, man. With numbers like that in this poll, it really is going to come down to, you want to vote for the guy on the verge of death, or you want to vote for the guy who is a criminal 91 times over? And I would much rather go for the guy who's on the verge of death, but we don't need to make that choice yet because there's a primary going on, for the love of God. And again, they're not going to mention her. They're never going to mention her. It's embarrassing. It's sad. It's pathetic. But at least you saw at the beginning of this clip, even they had to acknowledge, man, these polls are not that good for Joe. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You want to.